conciencia de logros. Por lo tanto, Shariputra, ya que los bodhisattvas no tienen logros, moran en la profunda perfección de la sabiduría. Como no hay oscuración en la mente, no hay tampoco temor. La tiene de elevarse y alcanza el nivel a volar. Todos los Budas de los tres tiempos, a través de la práctica de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, despiertan completamente a la iluminación insuperable, verdadera y total. Por lo tanto, el gran mantra de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, el mantra de la gran percepción, el mantra insuperable, el mantra igualado, el mantra que gana todo sufrimiento, debe ser conocido como la verdad, ya que no tiene falsedad. El mantra de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría es profunda perfección de la sabiduría. Entonces el espíritu salió de Samadhi y devolvió al noble Avalokiteshvara, el Bodhisattva Mahasattva, diciendo: bien dicho, así es. Oh hijo de noble familia, así es. Se debe practicar la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, así como has explicado, y todos los tathagatas se regocijarán. Cuando el Espíritu dijo estas palabras, el venerable Shariputra y el noble Avalokiteshvara, el Bodhisattva Mahasattva, y toda la familia de dioses humanos, asuras y gandharvas, se regocijaron y alabaron las palabras del bendito.
Ahora hacemos la ofrenda del mandala.
So the verse that I recite is from Shantideva's Bodhisattva's Way of Life from the third chapter, basically expressing the supreme medicine is the bodhicitta. The supreme treasure which overcomes from poverty is the bodhicitta. So there is in Shantideva's Bodhisattva's Way of Life, third chapter, it has a really focused emphasis into how important the bodhicitta, the bodhicitta, the citta, the mind in Sanskrit, bodhi, the awakening. In the English, translated as the awakening mind. So now here, engaging Buddhism, engaging Buddhism. Now, for example, usually Buddhism known for like practice of Buddhism, that means Buddhisms are in the cave, in the Himalayas mountain, and doing, that's kind of like the picture of the Buddhism. Buddhism doesn't come down to the society, it stays in the cave in the Himalayas. So therefore this concept of engaging Buddhism is a way to kind of like a misperception, to kind of like a Buddhism can be in the cave, Buddhism can be in the downtown, Buddhism can be all around. So this is a concept of engaging Buddhism is came through this. Now in a practical sense, within for example, in Christianity, engaging into society, it is much more advanced than Buddhism, from my point of view, in the education field, in the health field, in the social justice field. There's so much, emphasis that the practitioners have spent time and energy and resource. Very wonderful, as a Buddhist, particularly in Bodhisattva, we need to learn lots from these actions, way to serving into the community. That's, I think, really, really important. And today's Buddhist, maybe in the early Buddhism, maybe is something like maybe much more in the cave. People emphasize, okay, go in the mountain in solitude, like a great yogi, that kind of things. And there's some individuals is good at this kind of practice and have a lot of improvement. But now when we look at that from the Nagarjuna's time, Nagarjuna's after 400 years later, his movement, I think he's a really encouraging, engaging Buddhism. The Buddhism needs to be not only into the temples or the mountains or the cave. The Buddhism needs to come out into society, and it is not about the manifestation, it's about the intention and the motivation. Okay. So Mahayana Buddhism was a pretty much kind of, encouraged very strong during the Nagarjuna time after 400 years later Buddha's passing. So now here, if we look at it, what really makes us engage in Buddhism is a practice of Buddhism is not only for some individual people or some only advanced people. Buddhism is for everybody. Everybody who are interested in the practice of Buddhism is that everybody have an equal right. Maybe there's some specific ritual aspect. Maybe there's a different, but the essential point of view, Buddhism practice is an equal right for all the practitioners. So that's one thing. So Nagarjuna is kind of like the way he approached the engaging Buddhism is not limiting only for some people. Because during that time, in the early time in India, there's a little bit like systems, social structures is like different. So therefore, sometimes the education and knowledge are limited for only accessible some people and limited for broader people. So Nagarjuna wants to have an opening that kind of much more further. And Buddha, what he did is that he wants to kind of like the basic social structure, inequality. He don't really kind of like throwing that social structure out. So Buddha himself had some kind of revolution. Now, Nagarjuna's revolution is not only social structure, but the spiritual structure is not only for some individuals. The spiritual structure needs to be accessible for everybody. Okay? So that I will see much more internal engaging Buddhism. Internal engaging Buddhism is basically a spiritual structure of Buddhism, making it accessible or equal for everybody, not only for a specific small group. Okay? So what is that? That engaging, internal engaging Buddhism becomes kind of like a source of what we call today engaging Buddhism. Buddhism that basically when you say engaging Buddhism, I say it's a Buddhism in a daily life. It's nothing different than engaging Buddhism. Buddhism in a daily life, what that really means is like in my own practice, how I need to apply into my own daily life. When I say my own practice I have done into a very protected environment, an environment that's far from noise, far from the annoying people, far from the very protected environment. So now when you out there, how your practice are communicating. So engaging Buddhism is Buddhism in a daily life. Okay? Buddhism in a daily life, basically, what that really means is there is a specific effort, specific focus. What we're making is how we're going to translate our Dhamma practice into our daily situation that we're facing. Okay? So there is this layer of engaging Buddhism. And engaging Buddhism as like a collective karma, like what we do over here, compassion and action, as engaging Buddhism as like creating a structure and creating a collective karma together and making that collective effort, collective karmic effort to bring in the happiness and joys and things, so on and so forth. Okay? So I would see as engaging Buddhism as two layers, as individual layers and as a collective, as a group layers. Okay? So now these two are like really interdependent. These two are like a nurture. The collective karma of engaging Buddhism also able to nurture for the individual engaging Buddhism. And individual engaging Buddhism also can kind of like a nurture the collective. Okay. So now in a both case, what is important is there's two things. One thing, should we carry on this kind of engaging Buddhism and a sense of feeling of joy? That's one thing, one area. But I think this first time when we practice on engaging into such an action, I think is coming to a state of joy. It feels really relief. It feels really good. Okay, and that I think is a sense of feeling of joy, a sense of feeling of wonderfulness. I think that's really important. But I think it's important to move to the next level. And the next level is basically the next level is, one thing is, like for example, today my responsibility is giving the cookie. And one time, one of the volunteers, they brought chocolate cake. I'm not sure, it looks very delicious. I was giving that. And suddenly there's different, there's someone out of the line, they say, hey, I need one more. And I'm not sure, maybe I should give it, not give it. And then there's, the only ones who comes with chocolate cake. So I had to discipline. No, you had already. So. So I was thinking to. Then there's one another hand can one more, and then okay, go ahead. I wasn't disciplined too much. So anyway, in action-wise, yes, offering those things. In the mental-wise, in my spirit-wise, where I'm thinking, I may think, oh, many different layers I can observe, but instead of that, I was just kind of thinking, okay, all the strength able to develop, all the obstacle being purified. So I'm mostly reflecting into that. And then I have to also think, where is this coming from, all this expression? Am I this coming from some kind of based on empathy or based on sympathy and empathy? These are two different things. Okay. Is there I think I need to bring all these my wishes and thoughts, positive thoughts, based on empathy. Okay. Now, empathy usually, empathy can arise from the physical experience, and empathy can arise also from very fundamental level. Fundamental level, when I say fundamental level, is this person as a human being, I myself as a human being. We are kind of like the same journey, but different conditions. So empathy from the fundamental level, not necessarily empathy from, oh, I had the same experience, or I'm not as the, usually how we kind of see as empathy. Okay. So, so engaging Buddhism need to be engaged not only from the physical level, not only from the verbal level, but ultimately it needs to come through the mental level and the heart level. So over here, how we're going to deepen it. For me, I'm doing the actions of giving the cookie. I remember early time I came one time and I was offering the sweet drink. Somehow I ended with all the sweet things. Next time I'll give the salad or the rice. So anyway, any of those actions, coming through, certain level of empathy. I think the empathy has a different manifestation, but the fundamental level, the empathy is very connecting from the human level. I think His Holiness, I think one time he visited in San Francisco, and there's this kind of serving food for people. I think they organized one. And first he told for everybody, I'm homeless, you are also homeless. We both are homeless. So anyway, I think this is one of the key teaching, like His Holiness Dalai Lama all the time, is we should connect all the time in the fundamental level. In the manifestation we have a different condition, different, but let's we are the same person. We just not creating some kind of emotional discrimination. That is
that kind of mental, emotional discrimination when you come up, and that's kind of like a key recipe for even for our own self, very negative feeling. So therefore, usually, there's my friend of mine visiting from Europe, and there's one brothers and sisters. They came to visit me, and they're from Germany, and they came to visit me, and then suddenly I met one of the persons who, fixing something, and he just said, "Hey, Yancy, how are you doing?" He's being very open, kind of, and they're like so surprised, like, wow, he is like everything's like so easygoing. In Germany, you won't do that. So anyway, I think that this person, although he might see me kind of strange person, but he just forget about it. Just very, very friendly. Not so much who's this guy is strange looking. Just kind of very open-minded. So I think that makes very relaxed. Sometimes. And maybe I told you already before, when I first came to America and I had to give a Dharma talk, and I was so nervous. I don't speak the language very well. And not only that, the Dharma talk is for 2 hours. And it had to be exactly 2 hours. So I will prepare the topic and do everything. And when I come to it, whatever I did preparation, finish in 15 minutes. I am out of fuel and I'm trouble. Because everything all the process I came through emotional discrimination, or I have to do this, or these people come this emotion. So it creates unnecessary suffering for myself. So later, like this kind of emotional discrimination is not helping me at all. So I try to pray all the time to drop that. So feel like whoever I meet, whoever I try to do that. It doesn't matter who just see as a self. Important. There's one of the students, she would drive me to the class and everything. And sometimes I go to shopping, and then she would say, "Everybody's looking to you." It's okay. She was embarrassed, maybe. Her attention was getting, but I say it's okay, it doesn't matter. So anyway, basically, emotional discrimination brings a self-conscious awareness, being so self-conscious. It's just it creates you need to kind of relax into that. So basically, what I'm trying to communicate over here, the concept of engaging Buddhism is fundamentally is something that dropping the emotional discrimination and connecting fundamental with each other. That's the engaging. Engaging is not so much we have to engage. Usually, engaging Buddhism, basically what I'm saying is that right now, there's two things happening. Like one thing is a human-to-human connection, and one is a vehicle to human-to-human connection. What a vehicle is such as an offering. Today my offering is the cookie, the cake. So this is offering those things is a vehicle, fundamentally engaging individual spirit, engaging that connection. Okay? And so therefore, for obstacle for that engaging, emotional engaging, spiritual engaging, that engaging, spirit engaging, the main obstacle is emotional discrimination. Okay? Emotional discrimination. So therefore, I think really wonderful, today what I observed and my own feeling, and very beautiful. Okay. Key thing is, although we did offering for the food and we did the dedication, but we really want to make sure that people over there doesn't feeling that we are trying to, do them also offering and do them also dedication. That's kind of like a, so therefore, lots of our internal journey also, lots of, not only, basically what I'm saying, the engagement Buddhism need to go through a process of 6 paramita, basically. Okay? When you say engagement Buddhism, you need to go through the journey, internal spiritual journey with the 6 paramita. Internal journey, the first, paramita of the generosity, that's, I think, already there, with the intention, with the resource, with the energy, and everything. Generosity paramita is already there. So, what is the important part in engaging Buddhism? The next 5 paramita, the paramita of discipline. Paramita of discipline is the discipline about some people getting 2 times the chocolate cake. That's a minor, I think. And myself, who are engaging into this practice, disciplining what? My own ego is not involved into that. That discipline is step number 1 discipline, that kind of unequal feeling. We need to discipline, so we have to connect very basic fundamental level. So the discipline, one thing is like during this journey, that kind of like equanimity, discipline into equanimity. That's, I think, the really important thing. Then another thing is discipline. You have to have really discipline of our awareness, surrounding environment, surrounding, being very conscious about the surrounding environment, being very conscious about your internal environment, and a discipline into, maybe if basically I will say disciplining our own selves, being in that present moment, fully being, while we are doing that, if our thoughts going, okay, afternoon I have to go, your body is engaging Buddhism, but your mind is engaging materialism. not to do separation. So being in a discipline, the second part of it, being very present, I think that's really important. Based on that present, what kind of interaction happens, you have to be very natural. Okay? You don't make, I should do this way, I should this way, I should do, I should do eye contact, I should do this. You don't have to make it that kind of regulation. And everything has to be arise based on that present moment, kind of arise as a naturally, as grow naturally into that. And once you, through that kind of like a foundation, any kind of interaction will be perfect interaction. Okay? So you don't have to make that kind of picture perfect interaction, pushing for that. You don't need to make that. What we need to make an effort is being very present into that engaging, state of engaging. Okay? So discipline, when we're talking about the second parameter in engaging, I think that's one of the key elements that we need to discipline. Okay? Engaging discipline. Okay? Then, of course, patient. Again, patient, the practice of a patient should not be I would say not become like a calculated. That's not this way. The practice of a patient shouldn't become as a calculated. What I mean calculated means, I should be patient. If I don't do that, this is the result, or this, it becomes, maybe at the beginning, maybe we may come through this kind of angle, kind of like a protection angle or protective angle. But the way we want to go, practice of a patient arising through awareness of a present moment. Practice of a patient, you need to come through yourself, through your own pure side of your nature of mind. It's not through like thinking and analyzing and okay, now I should really practice. And that becomes, again, it is a kind of like mind-made, kind of analyzed it. That kind of process also we have to have, but that's not whole of our practice of patient. Practice of patient also have to come through your spirit, through your spiritual. Basically, when I say at the beginning, that kind of like second parameter, that kind of like being disciplining in the present moment, and through that kind of discipline, and then the patient may arise, kind of like a nature of the power of the human, not necessarily kind of creating that kind of patient. Basically, being present in the second parameter practice, and then when I say patient over here is basically a quality of your interaction. We label as a patient, but with the quality of your interaction with the people who are serving, quality of your interaction with the people who are receiving, quality of your interaction with yourself. That quality is the patient. The patient is not so much about that quality. That's that clarity, that interaction clarity. We think of all things going on around that environment based on a full awareness, that quality of interaction, that pure interaction. That is the patient. Okay. Once we lose that pure quality of the interaction, then we're losing the patient. And when we lose patient, we lose that quality. When you improve that quality, patient improves. Okay. So basically, the focus
after that engaging part have to be that quality of interaction, observation. Okay. So when I say quality over here, what that really means is everything interaction happening through open mind and very clear mind, not with many different kind of like, as I mentioned, one thing is emotional discrimination mind. One of the example, not happening through these kind of states, through the open, through basically human to human communication and interaction happening. So that's, I think, the practice of the patient. Okay. Once we have a quality of the interaction and communication, I think is a naturally side-by-side joyfulness arise, some kind of joy that, sometimes joyful happens when we recall, this is a really wonderful time. And sometimes we are not able to enjoy that present moment. And many times we enjoy in a memory or picture or things. A friend of mine, and I'm telling her, like, she all the time, what happening, she is so miserable, she's not happy. And then after some time when we discuss that, she was so nice. So wonderful. Now it's the memory. So wonderful. But at that moment, I was so miserable. Everything going wrong. And then, in the memory, when we discussed it, I said, oh, so wonderful. So, sometimes state of joyfulness we are not able to experience at that present moment. Only we can enjoy in the memory and when we recall. So that's I think the sentence of whatever we're doing, and we're not able to be in the present moment. It's kind of like we're kind of like a stretch here and there. So that makes that kind of like an impact. So in engaging Buddhism, we structure into a discipline based on being in a very present moment and being in a pure interaction and connection. Then I think that fourth paramita, the paramita of the joyful effort, or like a joyful effort, that kind of, through the third paramita of a patient need to be arised, that also kind of like a natural state of experience, rather than, okay, now I need to get to the fourth paramita or the joyful paramita, or making kind of like a plan. Today my compassion action is only up to second paramita. Third, fourth, the next now, it's not shouldn't be like that. So it is just being in it's just kind of like a natural growth by step. It's just like once you grow that step, the next step is also kind of what you call those some birds when they fly, the momentum, they also build their. Anyway, that's it. I'm not getting to it. Okay. So that's, I think, joyfulness. Joyfulness over here is mostly your emotion and your physical, basically when our mind and body being in one place together, I think joy will start. When our mind and body is separated, mind is somewhere, your body is somewhere. Sometimes when doing meditation, first moment doing meditation, mind will stay there a little bit, and they say, okay, bye-bye, you stay. I have to do something. And then from that on, the story, the
difficulties doing this. So again, for example, in a meditation practice, there's a lot of emphasis, for example, walking meditation, breathing meditation. These all are techniques to bringing our present, both mind and body together. That brings the joyfulness, that brings the mental suppleness, that it is not about pressure. The meditation shouldn't become like a pressure, and concentration shouldn't become like a pressure. If the meditation don't have a deadlines, deadlines. I used to tell the woman to practice. There's no deadline for that. Don't feel pressure. No deadline. So meditation, it shouldn't become like a pressure. You're trying to. It is some kind of like a very, how you say, very smooth internal movement. Okay, anyway, so my key point over here, it is something that joyful effort is our human spirit, our human body, mind and body in present into one action. I think that the synchronization, or whatever we want to call, joyfulness, time disappear, joyfulness become is a joy in terms of here is some kind of like an effortless, some kind of like a spontaneity. And anything becomes a spontaneity, that brings a joy. Anything becomes an effort, that becomes a pressure. So the state of a spontaneity built up on the fourth paramita. So in this case, spontaneity is basically being in the present moment, quality of the interactions, all based on a pure mind. So there is some kind of like a movement of our human spirit, very spontaneously flowing each other's, exchanging about each other's energy and exchanging of each other's actions and that kind of things. Is that basically spontaneity of our action is the joyfulness, rather than some kind of like celebration of joyfulness. Now, if you become micromanaging, then it's becomes a problem. In Portland, sometimes in our office, we have a meeting, and somebody will say, "Rinpoche, you are micromanaging." What is the definition of a micromanaging? How you define micromanaging? When you say micromanaging, is what I mean. You don't micromanaging 6 parameter, basically. So, controlling everything, control freak. So, for example, being so fully aware, I think that's really important, being fully aware, what's happening, everything fully aware. And maybe the micromanaging is maybe the communication into that awareness. Usually, people who are micromanaging, they are quite aware of everything what you do, but their interaction and communication is coming based on a very not pure interaction, not pure communication, basically coming to a very controlling. Okay. In worst case, this is the only way. This is the only way. Never giving any space. Yeah. One of our staff members, because sometimes I get like, while we're doing it, let's do this other one. I'm bringing more things to do. This is my community. He used to tell me, oh, this is not my community, because we decided just doing that, not more doing it. Okay. Okay, so joyfulness over here, basically being fully aware, but spontaneous communication. When it comes to very spontaneous communication, but although we can use such a language, but in a system of communication comes very individual personality, individual way of communicating. And in an individual, when we say, it comes to individual karmic background, so therefore there is a, so basically when I say very spontaneous pure communication is that being very sensitive of other people's individual karma, basically, not just coming, that's the way I communicate, that's the way I used to do. Basically, there's a lot of kind of like awareness of yourself, awareness of another being, and that kind of like spontaneity arising based on awareness, spontaneity not arising based on what your ego, ego spontaneity. There is a, when we talk spontaneity, usually we valid spontaneity, but sometimes spontaneity comes to a habit, and a habit which is basically built up based on the ego. Okay. So, a little bit there is like a, basically that kind of like skillfulness. Based on that skillfulness and joyful arise, joyful effort. And then part of the engaging Buddhism, when you say concentration, this concentration is not talking about the concentration about the single-pointed specific, is concentration is not other than awareness of your actions of your body, speech, and mind. Actions of your, so this concentration and part of the engaging Buddhism is that really fully aware of your actions, body, speech, and mind. And that awareness is not talking about being so self-conscious. You're not trying to policing your actions. You're not trying to, when you're aware, is basically awareness and self-consciousness is one difference. Maybe we can kind of look at it. Basically, self-conscious coming through fear. You have a similar observation, but it's subconscious coming through some kind of fear. In my experience, it was a fear. Like, oh my God, I made too wrong. Or maybe my talk will finish before 2 hours. Or maybe this happened. Or maybe that happened. Or my kind of doubt or fear. Kind of making my own story. So awareness over here is arising state of conscious, not from fear. When it's a state of consciousness, basically space of some kind of inner strength. What that really means is that basically it is when you look at it, it's not a state of expectation, free of expectation. Self-awareness arises from freedom of self-expectation, and that becomes really awareness, self-awareness. When it comes with a full expectation, it becomes self-conscious, and then basically you have some kind of like a tenseness. Okay? So over here, when it's the concentration, is basically awareness of your body, speech, and mind. They were free of that expectation. Okay. Okay. Then of course, right now it's kind of very generally speaking, but specifically they can be slightly different. Then, of course, the sixth parameter, part of the engaging wisdom, I think usually what we should, how we apply this one. Usually, I would say like, for example, in compassion in action, maybe at the beginning, before you all this engaging, if you have some kind of like an exposure in meditation of emptiness or meditation of impermanence, then maybe see all these things are not forever. It's not kind of a permanent situation. And see as yourself here, things here, peoples are here. Just see as like usually I'm here because I want to do this, and because of this I cook this, and people they want because they want to have this food. So it's very simple observation of reality. But we can go more further, seeing we all are here as not from nature. This kind of reality is not kind of permanent situation. It's not permanent condition. Seeing some kind of like a nature, there is a potential and basis of a change, transformation. So that kind of reflection at the beginning, before you serve, is really good. And also while you're serving at the meeting, if you can get kind of reflection a little bit, also good. At the end, also you can reflect a little bit as a seeing as the nature of a reality. So nothing intrinsically something like this. This is created through cause and condition. Reflection of this kind of like basically a sixth parameter is an observation of a fundamental nature of the whole existence of the nature, what is happening on the spot. Okay. So that kind of integration, basically deepening such an action. Okay. Okay. So now, part of the engaging Buddhism, when we're talking about it, is engaging into Dharma in daily life. Dharma in a daily life. So Dharma in a daily life. So for here, I think we need to. What is the Dharma? As a Dharma practice, what is the Dharma? Is a wonderful practice is the Dharma, or waterfall offering is the Dharma, or reciting prayer is the Dharma. What is the Dharma? This word Sanskrit word, the Dharma, is just like a phenomenon. Translating it in the English, it's just a phenomenon, nature of existence. Okay, so now here, now let's go this way. We can do Dharma practice with our body, Dharma practice with our speech, and a Dharma practice with our mind. Okay, so within these three, we can do, our body can be in a Dharma practice, but our mind can be another way, isn't it? Now our speech, maybe we're reciting mantra, but our mind is some way and gets so angry. You know, now, when your mind is in a Dharma practice, pretty much your speech and your body will stay pretty much into the Dharma. But the mind is, your speech and your body in a Dharma, but your mind can be totally go in different direction. So here, when it's a general Dharma practice, maybe look at into the three angles, Dharma practice of my body, speech, and mind. So when it's a Dharma in a daily life, means a Dharma practice of a speech or Dharma practice of a body, physical. So if a Dharma in a daily life, then the Dharma practice is a speech or reciting mantra, or when you're caught in the traffic, you recite the mantra, this is becoming like a Dharma in a daily. That's maybe becomes, that maybe is not a good idea. All day reciting mantra. You drive crazy. So maybe if the whole day reciting, Dharma in the daily life is important, so therefore I have to do mantra all day and recite my prayer all day wherever I go. Well, that's maybe not perfect. Maybe it's not a good idea. So Dharma in the daily life is very important, but the Dharma of a mantra recitation, your daily, when you say daily, it doesn't mean your session daily, my daily session. Daily session I think is important. The daily session of your mantra recitation, the daily session of your prostration, but this is important. But when you say daily life, in terms of over here, maybe let's put it as a 9 to 7. Not from the 7:30 to 8:30, but what happens Dharma in the daily life when you are 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 or whatever. I think we are measuring Dharma in the daily life. That's the way we are talking about. So when you're talking 9 to 5 to 9 to 7, Dharma, the Dharma of the mind have the body, speech, and mind in these three. The mind have only access to Dharma practice 9 to 5, not only 9 to 5, 7:30 to 5, or then you can expand to 24/7. That's the when you're talking Dharma in your daily life, I think that's what is really happening. So here, from that point of view, the most important Dharma practice is the Dharma practice of the mind, and Dharma practice is in the daily life. Okay. So from that perspective, all our journey of our human life is the opportunity of a Dharma practice. If we not pay attention, it is a practice of a hell. Or if we not pay attention, it is a Dharma practice. All journey of life is a Dharma practice. Okay. So basically, what's happening? Okay, in a training of like how we do a Dharma in a daily life is first thing is what is the obstacle for Dharma in a daily life? Okay, I would say reaction of a negative emotion is one of the main obstacles, which basically obscures our Dharma practice. It's not so much very strong and difficulty and that kind of things, but it is just kind of like a very loud and very easily kind of manifest that kind of emotional reaction, negative emotional reaction. Okay? And somehow we caught into that cloud, and somehow we dream into that cloud. Okay? So here, Dharma in a daily life practice, I think step number one is we have to pay attention of the reaction of a negative emotion. Then we are kind of like caught into that reaction and we totally kind of like disappear our spiritual practice. So step number one, after your own daily session, daily session is kind of like orienting yourself from the spiritually for that day. So here, what we're going to take out from that session for that particular day, as an engaging Buddhism, we will really engage to protect our own self from the reaction of a negative emotion. I think that's the step number one, what we have to pay attention. Once we're able to kind of overcome from that reaction and kind of like pacify or reduce or even we engage in a reaction, we need to recover very quickly. I think that's also sometimes due to habit. Sometimes we kind of like fall into the reaction, but due to the awareness and the practice of our own daily session, we need to recover very quickly and back to our own strength of engaging wisdom into our daily life. As much as we have this human awareness, human spirit, I think practice of the Dharma, access for practice of the Dharma is all the time is big. So step number one, overcoming that kind of reactive state that we need. Okay. One time I was in a way, I think in Baltimore or somewhere, trying to get a train ticket going to Washington D.C. or somewhere, and it was a kind of like a very difficult day, and I wasn't in my best mood. So this lady who was selling the ticket, I lose my voice, I raise my voice, but she was totally calm. she was like, basically totally non-reactive. She would tell me the answers. She would tell what is the reality is. It was like so cool, I was like, after I went back and I apologized, I'm very sorry, I wasn't really good. But I really like how you handle it. I really appreciate it, It's like totally non-reaction. It's like almost she said, that's your problem. Implicit to this, you telling me that. So I got the message. I got the message, and I appreciate it and thank her. But I all the time remember that. Really good. Okay, so thank you. So we'll stop here. We just finished the 6 part later. I think that's good. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll do a short prayer for the community, for the individuals, all of your practitioners. So we're going to do a Dharma mantra meditation. Okay.
Soha, Om Kare Tu 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 Soha, Om Kare Tu
Tayana Om Vekanse,
Vekanse, Maha Vekanse, Rasa Samudgate Soha, Sayata Om Vekanse, Maha Vekanse, Rasa Samudgate Soha, Sayata Om Vekanse, Maha Vekanse, Rasa Samudgate Soha, Sayata Om Vekanse, Maha Vekanse, Rasa Samudgate Soha, Mahavekam Se, Rasasamudate Soha, Vayata Om Vekam Se, Mahavekam Se, Rasasamudate Soha, Vayata Om Vekam Se, Mahavekam Se, Rasasamudate Soha, Vayata Om Vekam Se, Mahavekam Se, Rasasamudate Soha.
por los métodos hábiles de los protectores del alma,
que podamos realizar gozosamente la esencia de nuestras esperanzas. Creatus Pensi, eres afable, benevolente y bondadoso. Por favor, permanece con nosotros durante una larga vida. Expande tus actividades iluminadas en todas las direcciones y continúa madurando y sustentándonos a mí y a todos los seres sintientes. Desde este momento y durante todas nuestras vidas, manténnos bajo tu tutela. Sé nuestro amigo, nuestro divino y virtuoso guía. Limpia la degeneración de la ignorancia. Ayúdanos a realizar rápidamente nuestro recorrido por los senderos y caminos y alcanzar los tres cuerpos de un Buda. Por la verdadera realidad incambiable y por la bendición conjunta de la indestructible santa, que la esencia de estas oraciones se logren rápidamente.